What is up, people? My hair is horrendous, but this is the Vinyl Casket, home to the lamest taste. You can check me out on Twitch and YouTube at the Vinyl Casket, all one word. You can subscribe, like, and comment. Hit the bell for much, much more. We do a ton of stuff on this channel, but we're going to get right to the point because this is going to be probably a pretty long video. This is episode 2 of Rewind Reviews, my passion project where I talk about and review series, movies, shows, things at a larger scale about my personal experience, more over than the quality of the actual thing. This episode is Teen Wolf. If you didn't know by the title of the video or the holding image, this is going to be my series overview of the entire series. Teen Wolf is a show that premiered and was featured on MTV, put out through Paramount, premiered in 2011 and ended in 2017. There was 6 seasons. And it's broken down over the span of 3 years in its continuity, featuring a huge rotating cast of characters, lots of actors that would go on to prominent roles and other things following this show. Leading up to this show, I feel like a lot of these characters are either actors were pretty unknown. Tyler Posey obviously boosted as the main character of this throughout all 6 seasons, as well as the movie that premiered in 2023. You can check my channel. There is a review on that. I was not satisfied with a lot of the choices they made through the creative team's process and the story they chose, but they executed it well. It felt like it belonged. But the show as a whole, and just the show, is incredible. I recently rewatched it with my wife. From episode 1 all the way. It is a really mind-wiping, spellbounding kind of show. And the fact that this was MTV. MTV growing up never had anything like this. It was reality shows. It was comedy stuff. It was music-based stuff like that. Never would I have thought that a action drama sci-fi werewolf show based off a concept of a Michael J. Fox movie would be this amassing 6-season show. Like I said, 3 years. Year 1 takes up seasons 1 and 2 and 3. Seasons 4 and 5 take place in year 2, and then year 3 is the final season, season 6, where our main characters have graduated high school. Our secondary cast of characters are still in high school, and they're kind of working on their worlds, and that's really cool to see the evolution of that, right? And I'll get right into it. Technically speaking, the show is phenomenal. You see the growth from season 1 to season 6 through its time period, through the early 2010s to the late 2010s. You see the amount of technology that has amplified editing, transitions, film technique. You see it throughout the show, and it's never like you go back and watch the old episodes and you're like, oh, this looks like crap. It looks amazing for that time period, and you only see the evolution and what bounded into what as you watch through. So phenomenal technical execution on the production staff and the team that did this show for all those years. And the intros throughout the seasons are all very well done. They all fit around. The tonal music that's been used throughout the entire series is excellent. Okay, that's all I really want to say about it technically as a show. I think it was very well done, and I thought it was great. Moving on to stories. So, well, let's start about the start. They have an incredible cast of characters that was well selected, and they all did amazing, and most of them I feel like did not have established careers going into this. A lot of them did, a lot of them didn't. The core people here that I feel like are big names in my opinion, are Tyler Posey, Dylan O'Brien, Tyler Hoechlin, I can never say his last name right, Dylan Sprayberry, and Cody Christian. Obviously, I'm going to say this right off the bat. Tyler Hoechlin is Superman in Superman and Lois. Cody Christian is in what's it called? All American. Dylan Sprayberry does a bunch of stuff. Obviously, Dylan O'Brien has done, which is the reason why he's not really in season 6, is he is doing, he did, obviously. You did your research, Nick. Maze Runner, which I love. So you see all those things. Tyler Posey has had a pretty elaborate music career. He's been in like 3 or 4 different bands at this point. He's done a bunch of movies and stuff. They're just very well-rounded actors that have had established careers, and their names before the show didn't really have any weight. Now I feel like you say some of these names and you're like, oh, it's going to be great. And I feel like that all stems from this show. My favorite character, just want to point that out there, is Isaac. And that has caused me a lot of internal turmoil with this show, especially with the movie. With him being such a crucial character in the early seasons, and being this backbone, this first person to take the main character, who's Scott McCall's back. He has his back. He's the first character besides Stiles, who's his best friend. He's the first other werewolf to side with him and agree that he's going to be the alpha. And then when he becomes a true alpha, has his back. And obviously ends up with Allison before Allison passes away. And that drives him wild. So the fact that he goes off with her dad. Her dad ends up coming back, and then there's never any reference to where he went. There was reference where he went when he went with her dad, but when her dad came back, where did he go? And this show did a lot of things right with storytelling and being able to place characters places and give background information and fill in gaps and make it feel like the character just didn't leave the show or didn't just get written off. They went to do something with context, with substance. And that was one of the very few plot holes. That and is it Cora? Derek's sister. Just feels like she just never, they go to just do something, she has a role to do, and then it's never referenced again. When so many plot lines that reference the importance of that character being mentioned to establish that they went and did something are never brought up. It's like they forgot about those 2 characters throughout the later seasons and obviously the movie. And it has left me erratic with rage, being that Isaac is my favorite character, and he did not get his due diligence, but every other character, it feels like, was set a sail and referenced and brought up and like put to rest or just mentioned that they exist. And it's like, we need everybody, but where is everybody? Not everybody shows up. That's my big plot hole, right? That's my big complaint. That's it. It's the only complaint, really. Getting into the storylines, I think the storylines are great. Season 1, I'm just going to do some key notes. If you haven't watched it, obviously this is a huge spoiler review. It's an overview. It's my personal experience. These are my favorite notes and things that have happened in each season. So season 1, you get the entrance of Peter, Derek's uncle, as the Alpha. You don't know who the Alpha is. You find out who he is. It's crazy. Then he dies. The Argents are involved, which are the hunters. And it builds up this whole story where the Argents are like this big, aggressive force in season 2. You also get the Kanima, which ends up becoming a werewolf. Jackson, who's such an interesting character when he comes into season 6, being able to still have parts of Kanama with the tail and stuff and the poisonous claws. You get this guy Matt, who's controlling Kanama, who was like had this really traumatic backstory that was really well played and well executed, and made you feel like this guy's so creepy. It made you feel a certain way. It was really well done. You get Derek's pack in that season, where he like establishes his own pack, including Isaac, and then slowly deteriorates, and like that is used into season 3 with the Alpha Pack coming and eliminating them to force Derek to kill them so he can become part of the Alpha Pack. Season 3 also introduced Nemeton, which is this giant mystical tree that from that point on is like a mainstay. It is a mainstay until the end of the show. The Nemeton causes a lot of problems. People go there to cause problems. People go there to solve problems. The Hellhound brings problems. And then again, you get the introduction of the Hellhound, Scott as the true alpha, Malia, who is the daughter of Peter, and is the first coyote. You also, season 3, you get a lot of things. You get the introduction of Kitsune, which you get a bunch of them throughout the series. You get, obviously, Malia being the first coyote. You get, later on down the line, you get the Desert Wolf, which I believe is the next season. Yeah, season 4, you get the Desert Wolf, which is her mother. You get not the Chimeras, because you already have the Chimera. The Chimeras. You get the Chimeras. I wrote them as Wendigos. No, one of them is a Wendigo. You get the Chimeras, which are like amalgamations of werewolf and something else. So season 3 with the Nemeton and everything opens up the wider supernatural world, which that's my favorite season. I think that's when things get crazy. You get the Alpha Pack, the Nemeton, the Hellhound, you get the true Alpha, you get Malia, you get Void Styles, which is when the Nagitsune, the evil Kitsune, takes over Styles. That's a crazy storyline. You get the introduction of Meredith. You get the season 3 is when you really get the explanation and the expanding of the Banshee. Of Lydia being the Banshee, and then Allison dies, and that creates a whole wave of things that happen going forward. Season 4, we start off with Kid Derek, which was a really cool storyline, and Kate Argent, the dead aunt of Allison, turns out to be that she is a jaguar. Wild. Scott turns Liam, which becomes a whole arcing story going forward, which is an amazing character. I talked about the Desert Wolf. And then Meredith turns out to be this big villain. This girl who was also a Banshee that helped, and we thought she died. Turns out that she is secretly this big villain player that's been causing all these problems, stemming in the middle and the end of season 3. Season 5 goes in with the Dread Doctors, which is a wild villain. They created the Chimeras. Theo is introduced, who's an incredible character. I hate him, but you're like, they make you want to hate him. Like, they make you want to hate him, and even when he's doing good, you're like, you don't trust him. And then you get the Beast. You had a couple other crazy like references to old things from the past, like old like legendary werewolves and things coming and creating problems, and they're all taken down in like really elegant, well thought out, well structured ways. And then the final season 6, deals with the Ghost Riders, the Riders of the Storm. Incredible storyline. With them taking away people and you forgetting who they are, and the way they had to remember everybody was just so well done. They get rid of Styles and then they bring Styles back. The main characters graduate. and then you get the end of season 6, you get new hunters, right? You get brand new hunters. You get the Anuka. Oh, how do I say that? The Anukidae. The guy, it was a creature that had no faces. It was two beings. They had to come together. Then it became this faceless person that could turn everyone to stone. Awesome villain. That's the thing. This show had a lot of really good storylines, a lot of good villains, a lot of people that weren't like factions that were villainous. Like, there was lots of twists and turns and interesting things that were just done well. And that's what happened from like season to season. There were like the key points that I enjoyed. And like I said, my major issue was the minor plot holes with characters disappearing and not being explained. And there was only really 2 characters. And then you get a whole bunch of werewolves, like a ton of characters from banshees and coyotes, hellhounds, chimeras, canimas, wendigos, all sorts of interesting characters. And I really, really enjoyed this show. I had a really good experience. I highly recommend it. I'm going to give this show a 4.8 out of 5. Those 0.2 points are from that plot hole issue, which is crazy because I gave the movie like a very low score, but 4.8 out of 5. I think it's well deserved. I think it's a great show. I highly recommend it. I obviously, favorite character is Isaac. Favorite season 3. Favorite storyline is probably, outside of season 3, is probably the Dread Doctors. It gets wild and confusing in that season. But yeah, I think that's my whole rundown. This is Rewind Reviews, my personal passion project where I rewatch things that have come out a while ago. Either I watched them for the first time or I'm rewatching them and finishing things that I might not have finished, a series or a movie or a trilogy or whatever. And I sit down with you guys and I dissect it and talk about my experience and what I liked about it and the storylines and things that I wanted to talk about, instead of doing a dissecting review of it did this and then this happened and this. It lets me cover things at a wider range. So being able to cover this entire 6-season series, I didn't go into every season like in detail, but I talked about some key points. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you guys give the channel a chance and check out my other recent reviews as well as my other episode of Rewind Reviews, the first one, which was the test episode with Wrestling in the Family. I believe that I'm currently rewatching Harry Potter. I will most likely be doing that eventually. I have some other stuff like the American Pie series. I want to do a 2-part episode, part 1 being the main movies, part 2 being the side movies, as well as I want to do all Kevin Smith stuff. And I don't know if I should do, you can get in the comments and tell me, should I do the Skewiverse as one video, as an overview of one together, or should I do Clerks gets a Rewind review episode? Because I feel like if I do that, the Clerks episode could either be really long or really short, and I would like these to be a little bit longer and have a little bit more substance. So get in the comments, let me know. Check out my Instagrams at the Vinyl Casket, at Vinyl Casket and Vinyl Casket Comics, as well as my YouTube channel and my Twitch at the Vinyl Casket. My TikTok is also Vinyl Casket. The Vinyl Casket, all one word, on YouTube, Twitch, where you can subscribe, like, and comment. Hit the bell for much, much more. Remember to get in the comments. Let's have a discussion. Let's make these videos sick. With that being said, I need you to do a favor. Do me a favor. Personally. It's my personal review. I need you to personally stay lame.